Yes, I think it started. So I'll move on to the slides. Do you see a neural network here? This is a simple multi-layered neuronal structure, a neural network structure. With you can see that there are three layers out here. The layers are labeled as I, J, and K in your paper. I would want you to draw this picture. A neural network with three layers I, J, and K, labeled as I, J, and K. And the input to this neural network is the input, the training data is A, B pairs within bracket A comma B, where A is the data, B small b, small a, small b, A B pairs. You have m number of such or n number of such data points. So A B. So at any moment you have AI, BI, or AM, BM being your training data point. A, B. So the terminology is little different here. That's the reason why I want you to write down this, because I'm using the same terminology.
Sir, the presentation is not visible.
Okay. Let me, sorry. Is it visible now, presentation? Can you see my screen? Okay, that's good. Okay, sorry. I thought it's already, I was present mode, so it was got logged out after a while. Okay, so you see a three-layered neural network over here. We have an input layer called I. We have an intermediary layer or hidden layer called J, and an output layer called K. And this neural network is taking the pairs, the training data points, training set A, I, B, I pairs. A, B, A is the data and B is the output. Understand? A is the data, B is the desired output. A, B pairs is the training data. A, B, you have probably m such points or n1 such point. You have a lot of, you have finitely many A, B pairs, AI, BI pairs. A is the input, B is the output. Write down that in your paper. I am using this notation so that it will be easy for you to go through the material, that the textbook material that I've shared with you already, which is there in your classroom, Google Classroom. So AB is the training data. You have AB, you have m of them or n of them. We have so many training points out there. And I want all of you to draw this particular, so your training data is AB, AI, BI pairs, your training data, or AM, BM pairs. M is the index, all right? AM, BM pairs. AM, A subscript M, small a, small b, subscripts are M, AM, BM pairs, which denotes the mth data point being presented, or AI, BI, the ith data point. AJ, BJ would be like, let us not use I, J, and K, because I, J, and K here is used to denote the layers. So let us call it AM, BM, M being the index. The mth data point is AM, and the corresponding output is BM in the training data. Draw this neural network structure into your book, into your piece of paper, and we are going to use the same principles. It's absolutely same as the gradient descent procedure that we have seen with the delta rule. This is a feed forward neural network, because input is given at the A side and you get the output at the B side. Once you are done with drawing this in your book, let me know, so that I'll give you 1 or 2 minutes to copy this. It's already there in your classroom, but I want to have a copy of you. I want you to have a copy of you in front of you to see it, and so that your life becomes easier when you go further from here. All right, this is a multi-layered neural network. It's a feed-forward neural network, and I'm using the same terminology. I'll be explaining you with the same terminology that the textbook uses, so that when you read the book, It'll be easy for you. So we were using xi, yi as the input, but the textbook actually uses A, B pairs. A is the input and B is output. So it says A is the input data, B is the desired output data, and B dash is the network produced output data. B dash superscript dash, B dash would be the desired output data. That's the notion that the notation that they use. All right. And if you have copied it, I'll move on to the. Have you done with copying it? The network structure and the training data. Training data is A, B pairs. We have, and let's use the subscript M to denote the mth data point or the mth step, data point at the mth step. And so AB and the corresponding network produced output will be B dash. The life becomes easy if you understand this terminology well. Write it down. Are you done with copying it? Anybody who's not copied this particular picture, just copy it in your book. I'll give you 1 or 2 minutes more, so that it don't take much time if you understand it. All the math that I use over here to explain a backpropagation algorithm is on top of the gradient descent. I use only chain rule of differentiation. I use only chain rule of differentiation. If you use chain rule of differentiation over the theory that you have learned in the last 1 hour or 1.5 hours, you know backpropagation. That's it. It's as simple as that. Let me know once you're done with copying these slides. Yeah. Anybody here who need a little more time? Okay, that's good. Just let me know. I don't want anybody to be left out just because they don't. So this is a slide that needs to be that network. I need you to have the network in front of you. And AB is a training data. AIBI, we don't call it AIBI, let's call it AMBM is a training data. M runs from, say, M is equal to 1 to, if there are K data points or N data points, M runs from 1 to M, N or K. And AB is the input, A is the data, B is the corresponding desired output, and B dash is the network provided output. If we have that, good. Okay, that's good. I'm moving to the next. I hope all of you have drawn this picture, and I'm moving to the next slide. Do you see the equation of the error? What is error? Let's use, they've used for notational convenience, they've used a half. Otherwise, K is equal to 1 to M is being presented. The error at the mth step would be, error at the mth step can be written as Bk for the kth point, the mth step error, Bk minus Bk dash M, right? Squared error. Any concern over here? If you don't want this complicated of a notation, you can call it B minus B dash the whole square, right? Where it runs over the entire training data. B minus B dash the whole square, or Bk minus Bk dash. If you don't want M. M is just the mth step. The same data point can be presented multiple ways. So you don't want that to be. So basically, like, they use the notation M primarily because same data point in a perceptron algorithm, you may end up presenting the same data point multiple times, or in a neural network, it's called an epoch. The same one set of points being presented one in neural network terminology is called an epoch. So the what you call successive epochs may present the same data points in a different order, or maybe in the same order again and again, so that the network till the network is learned. So M is that step. So we call it normally in the normal textbooks we call T. The time T, this is what is given. Likewise, they use M just to understand, just to give that step is M. They use K to denote the point, all right, and the squared error. Bk minus Bk dash. That's it. All right, the whole square, half of that summed over all the points is the error. All right, and Bkm minus in the network. If you look at it in the network, the output of, there are 3 layers in the network. Input layer is I, middle layer is J, and the last output layer is K. The output of the kth layer is labeled as SKO. So I want you to write down the following notations in your piece of paper. The following notations. All right. The output of any neuron is denoted by the letter small s. Small s denotes the output of a neuron. Write down here so that you don't get confused. In this particular that piece of textbook, output of a neuron is denoted as small s. Okay. Given an input, what does a perceptron do? Given an input A, what does the perceptron do? It will take the dot product of A with respect to a W, right? So it computes A dot W, right? It computes A dot W over the entire dimension, right? A dot W, it's basically like every element of A and every element of W is multiplied and added together. That's what the dot product is, right? It takes A dot W. So how do you get the output? You get the output, say, in a perceptron. Think of the perceptron. In the perceptron, you compute with respect to the input. You take the dot product with the W. Then you push it through a non-linearity or an activation. All right. In our case, the perceptron case, the non-linearity was thresholding. Let us call that non-linearity or the activation function as F, small f. All right. So the next notation, output of a neuron is small s. The activation function used is denoted by small f. The activation function is denoted by small f. I hope all of you are writing this, because otherwise you will get easily confused. The output of a neuron is small s. The activation function used to compute that output is small f. How do you get the output? In the neural network, in the perceptron neuronal model, W, if A is the input, A dot W is computed and A dot W is given as input to the thresholding function, right? So f of A dot W will give you what? The output S. So in our case, S will be f of A dot W if A is the input. If A is the input, S will be f within f of A dot W, all right, where A is the input and W is the corresponding weight. So that A dot W is typically in the neural network world is called an activation. F is called an activation function. A dot W, that's called an activation. The activation which is given as input to the activation function is denoted in this particular picture or this discussion as X. Small x denotes activation. What is small x? Small x in our case is A dot W at the input layer, or input dot weight is called the activation. X is input dot weight. Right? Shall we proceed? I'll repeat the terminology. S is the output of any neuron. F is the activation function used. In our perceptron case, activation function was a thresholding function, and we have ReLUs and sigmoids and whatever tanates out there, other activation functions. So activation function is F. The input to the activation function, which is nothing but the input dot the weights A dot W, that's denoted as X. The activation is denoted as small x. Small s denotes the output. Activation function small f. Activation is X. Right? If you look at this network, at the input layer, this network has 3 layers. There is a input layer where the input is A, right? There is a hidden layer called J, where the input becomes the output of the input network. input layer. Basically, like what comes at the input becomes the output. The what becomes the input of the hidden layer would be the what comes at the comes from the input layer. And for the last output layer, the kth layer, the output layer, the input would be output of the hidden layer. So there are 3 layers out here. I repeat, 3 layers: I input layer, J hidden layer, K the output layer. The input to the hidden layer would be what comes from the input layer, right? The input to the output layer would be the output of the hidden layer. So from input layer, a signal goes to as inputs to the hidden layer. From the hidden layer, the output, its output goes as inputs to the output layer, right? So if you look at this diagram carefully, ith layer is connected to the jth layer. That is, input layer is connected to the middle layer, the hidden layer, using weights Wji. Do you see that there in the picture? Wji. Be very careful here. Wji is the weights connecting I and j. If you don't like it, if you want ij, that's also fine, but the textbook uses ji. Wji is the weights connecting input to the hidden layer, and you may see a superscript small h, Wji small h. That small h denotes that these are weights connecting to the hidden layer, just for notational convenience. Hidden layer weights connecting input to the hidden layer is labeled as the h layer weights, right? And if you look at hidden layer to the output layer, they are called W. They are the weights are labeled as the kj weights, wkj, because it's connecting k and j. All right. And if you want, since the wja weights are called h weights, hidden layer weights, if you want to label it, you can label the wkj weights as wkjo. So let me carefully look at this diagram. Let me explain this notation well. A being the input, output of that particular layer, neural network layer, basically like it's SI is equivalent to AI. So you don't do any transformation. You have only primarily what you call the input given to the hidden and hidden given to the, so you don't do any transformation in the input layer at this, as per this diagram. And then what you do is it passes through the wji vectors, and then wji vectors into that si dot wji is computed. That will become the xi. So this xi passes through the activation functions of the hidden layer. So we call that fh. If we call the hidden layer activation functions as small fh, so fh of si dot wji will give me the output of the hidden layer. That will be sj of h. I told you S is the output. So Sj of h denotes the output of the hidden layer. So Sj of h passes through Wkj and compute the dot product. So that means Sj dot Wkj that can be called the activation to the output layer. So you can call that XO. So XO passes through. XO is given as the to the activation function of the output layer. If we denote the activation, the output layer, activation functions are denoted as F. At the output layer, FO, you can call it FO. At the output layer, FO will be Sj dot Wkj, which is given to FO. So FO of Sj dot Wkj would be the SKO. So that's how it computes. All right. I repeat, input passed on, input goes through the ji layer, input, there's no transformation happening out there because there's no weight beyond that point. AI is directly fed to, so AI becomes si dot wji is computed. Si dot wji passes through the activation function f of h, fh. F superscript h is basically the hidden layer activation function. So fh of si dot wji will produce sjh, the output of the hidden layer. So sjh becomes input to the output layer. Sjh dot wkj will become the activation to the hidden layer, and that passes through FO, the output layer activation function. So FO of Sj of Wkj will compute the output H of SHO, which is essentially the output of the, which we can call that as B dash. So you have B and B dash, and then you go ahead do it. So, right, I want all of you to stare at this particular slide for 2 minutes and understand what is being written out there, and let me know if you don't understand this. So error over k points, BKM, M is just a step. If you don't want M, if you don't like M, forget about M. M should not confuse you. M is a step number, that's it, nothing more than that. So you can write this as, in your paper you write half k is equal to 1 to k bk minus bk dash. You forget about M. Let us not use M, because if that actually confuses you. So I wanted it, but the textbook actually uses it. So let's not worry about it. Half of k is equal to 1 to m bk minus bk dash the whole square. So half of k is equal to 1 to k bk minus, what is bk dash? The output of the network is, look at here, output of the network is SKO. S is the output of the neuron. K is the kth layer, right? It's the output layer. SKO is, since it's output, you call it SKO. So BK minus SKO the whole square, the same thing. What is SKO? SKO is, you get SK when you push the activation to the output layer. When the activation here, the activation happening here, when you push that to the activation function, you get the output. So if you look at it, this SKO is nothing but when you put activation to the output layer, which is XKO, through the activation at the output layer, FKO, you get this, right? What is XKO? XKO, if you look at this diagram, XKO, how do you get XKO here? SJO dot product with WKJ will give you XKO. XKO is WKJ dot SJH. So it's basically a dot product. All right, over all the weights. All right, you get that. So what is SJH? SJH is essentially the output of the hidden layer. How do you get the output of the hidden layer? When you push the activation over here through its activation function. All right, Sj of H is equal to Fj of Xj. I've already told you this. This is the output. All right, Sj of H. When you get, how do you get Sj of H? Sj of H is basically when you push these activations computed, the dot products computed here through its activation function, you get Sj of H. So Sj of H will be equal to its activation Xj, that's basically the dot product pushed through the hidden activation function. So what is Xj? Xj is nothing but the dot product. What is Xj? Xj is activation coming here. Si dot Wji will be Si dot Wji would be Xj. All right. Si is, you don't have any weights here. So Si is nothing but Ai. Si would be nothing but Ai. Forget about M. Don't worry too much about M. M is a step number. Si is Xi is nothing but Fi. Because there is no weight, it's basically like it's all one. So what happens is you presume that in this diagram, you presume that Si is equal to Ai. So that is the basic thing. And make sure that you understand this. Spend a minute or a two minutes over this particular set of equations and make sure that you understand this. Once you have done this, I'll move on, because once you have done this, all you need to do is two things. You have the error function, error at the output layer. This is all you have, the error at the output layer. You need to adjust these weights and these weights. How do you adjust these weights? If you can compute the gradient of this error with respect to, if you can compute the gradient of the error, if you can compute the gradient of this, the error computed here with respect to the Wkj weights, you get the gradient here. If you can compute the gradient of the error computed here with respect to Wkj, what do you get? You get the delta Wkj, you get here. You get the adjustments of weights here. If we can compute the gradient of the error computer here with respect to Wji, you know how to adjust the weights here. And this is pretty straightforward. Dou E by dou Wkj is straightforward, but dou E by dou Wji is not very straightforward. You need chain rule. And backpropagation algorithm is all about this chain rule. How do you compute this with this particular thing? And this is the simplest explanation. I want you to go through this piece of material only before you get into any publicly available material, because this is the simplest and the easiest, easily understandable piece of material that I have found so far on backpropagation. It doesn't complicate your life. It gives you all the math. It doesn't take any black box approach. It gives you every piece of information, right? I want you to go through this, stare at this particular slide for 2 minutes and get back to me, right? I'll hold for 2 minutes so that you know like what you're talking about. And look at your piece of paper, that paper which has drawn, where you have drawn your what do you call your neural network, and look at this particular thing, this set of equations. And if you are able to understand this set of equations, your life is pretty straightforward from here. It's all about dou em by Wkj, dou E divided by dou E by dou Wkj, and dou E by dou Wji. That's all we do now. If you know how to compute these things, you know backpropagation. And here you do it only for 2 layers. If you want to do it for multiple layers, you keep doing the same procedure. N number of hidden layers, so you can keep doing this. And how do you do it? You basically, essentially, this is gradient descent. It's essentially a modification of the perceptron learning algorithm, or delta rule. If you do it for multi-layered network, you call it, in a feed-forward context, you call it a backpropagation algorithm. And people have found new ways of doing the same thing, gradient descent, over deep neural structures. They have come up with modified version of this backpropagation algorithm. They called it backpropagation through time in a recurrent neural network. Modified backpropagation algorithm in a convolutional neural network. Basically, they have found that the backpropagation has certain issues, like gradients are difficult to compute, they vanish or explode. They came up with new ways of computing the same gradient descent. They came up with what is called LSTM, GRU. Then they wanted a modified way of doing very similar things for weight adjustment. They came up with the new age transformer networks and things of that kind. If you can understand the simple gradient computation used in a multi-layered neural network, you will understand deep learning architectures. So I want you to spend 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes here, even 5 minutes is fine with me. I want all of you to stare at this equation, write down this equation in your piece of paper, and understand what it means. I repeat, AB is your input, A is the data, B is the desired output. B dash, you can forget all those M's there. M's is basically step size. So let's not worry about step size. A is the input, B is the desired output. B dash is the network produced output. Output of any neuron is S. S is produced by pushing the activation to that neuron. See, activation is primarily like that linear transformation, the output of the linear transformation. W dot input, that is called activation. So they call the activation as X. For any neuron, the activation is called X. X, when pushed through the activation function F of X will give you S output. S is equal to F of X. What is X? X is W dot input is X. That's it. X is W dot input to that layer. So input to the output layer is the output of the hidden layer. So input XKO is input to that particular layer. The input is the output of the hidden layer. SJH is the input. SJH is the input to that layer. Push through the dot product. Push through the weights in the hidden to output layer. So you get the activation there, xk when pushed through the hidden layer activation functions, you get S, the output of the layer. So so Sj, and then correspondingly, how do you get what do you call that's there at the top, and how do you get SJH? SJH is basically like when you push the activation W dot input of the hidden layer, the activation of the hidden layer through its activation function. So if H when given the hidden layer activation, so you get XH is the hidden layer activation, which is nothing but the dot product. XH when passed through the activation function of the hidden layer, you get the output of the hidden layer. So output of the hidden layer. So then the natural question is, how do you get the activation for the hidden layer? The activation for the hidden layer is the input dot product with the input to hidden layer weights. W weights out in the hidden in the input to hidden layer, WJI or WH dot the input SI. SI we presume that the network doesn't do any transformation at the input. So basically SI is nothing but the XI, so which is essentially the input. All right. So that's all is there in this set of equations, and all we are going to do now is dou E by dou WKJ and dou E by dou WJI. If you know how to do this, you know backpropagation. Let me know once you are comfortable with this set of equations. Just copy these equations to your paper without M. M is just a step size. It just complicates. I wanted that to be removed, but the material has it, the textbook has it, so I thought I'll keep it there. But don't confuse yourself, primarily because M is nothing but a step. You call it TM or whatever. All right. So that's it. Have we copied it? Let me. Just copy this set of equations to this set of equations in your notebook, the paper, and see whether you understand it. I can even give you another 5 minutes if you want, because beyond this, it's all about differentiation, nothing more. All I need is dou E by dou Kj, dou WKJ, and dou E by dou WJI. If I can do this, I know backpropagation, nothing more. Have you copied it, all of you? Just I need some confirmation from your side. And this is precisely the reason why I wanted you to do this, the other exercise in paper, because once you have done that, seen that in a slide, you will not understand it, and this will become like very difficult task for you. But since you have done that in paper once, that differentiation once, this should become trivial, should become very easy. Good. Shall I presume that you've done that? Copied and you understood? Everybody? Anyone who needs a little more explanation? Because I mean, once you have understood this, and if you know differentiation, we will be done in another 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes max. Just stare at that set of equations, and because we have spent enough of time. I wanted at least on the fundamental side, it should be very clear, because once you have done this, I told you, you can go back, start reading papers on deep learning. You can understand how a recurrent neural network works with an LSTM or GRU or whatever, right? Any jargons that comes in your way, you will be able to do it. A neural network is all about that linear transformation followed by non-linearity. How to adjust the weight, find the error, find the gradient of the error with respect to the W. Find the error, and for a neural network, the error is available. Error can be computed only at the output. Why? Because you know the desired output only at the output layer. All right. So you know the desired output of the at the output layer, and you can take the actual output and the desired output, find the difference between the two, square the error, and you get the error, and then you differentiate with respect to layer by layer differentiation. That's it. And if you do it, so the first step that they have done is called a backpropagation through time in a network called recurrent neural networks. They found that beyond a point the gradients vanish, and then they said, no, we need a better way. They designed, the other one was called backpropagation through time, and then they decided, no, we need a little more complicated, rather little more computationally efficient mechanism, and they came up with what is called LSTMs and GRUs and things of the kind. It's basically essentially gating based computation of gradients. That's what it is. And so you have a more efficient, computationally efficient mechanism where you can avoid this gradient propagation errors. And these are called, they define what is called DL in the sequential modeling case. So likewise, they have defined ways to compute weights that defines convolutions and things of kind. So they defined CNNs, convolutional networks, and modularized architecture gave rise to transformers and things like that. It's all about gradient descent procedures. Fundamentally, it's all about that computation of the error and how do you find the gradient of the error with respect to the W. That's what it is. Shall I proceed? I don't want anybody to be left behind, and that's the reason why I wanted you to write down in a piece of paper. So it's easy to mug up this entire algorithm and then vomit it in a piece of paper for a university. I don't want that to happen because it's useless. So you may get a degree, but you'll never ever learn machine learning. Because I mean, if you have understood this, I can even ask you to go back and give me a presentation on LSTM. I'm sure you'll be able to do it. Or a backpropagation through time to start with. And I'll in fact do it. I'll in fact ask some of you, I'll handpick people and ask people to read the current happenings around it and give a presentation to the entire class some point in time. Shall we proceed? Let's not waste time if you have done with it. I've seen a lot of yes. Anybody has an issue? Just raise your hand if you are not able to follow those equations. Hello? Am I audible? Yes, okay. I'm proceeding it. Yes, okay. Okay, I was not seeing any response on your side. I thought like enough. Let's not waste time. So I will be done in another 5-10 minutes max. So let's go to the next slide. What is our first? You have found the error, defined the error in terms of the desired output B and the actual output B dash. B minus B dash is what I computed. You know, like every step out there. So error E is known. All I need to compute is dou E by dou W, dou E. To adjust the weights here, I need to compute dou E by dou W Kj. And to adjust the weight here, I need to compute dou E by dou WGI. That's all we are going to do. Right? Delta WKJ. The adjustment of the weights here will be delta WKJ will be dou minus eta into same procedure dou E by eta is the learning rate dou E, forget about M, dou E by dou WKJ. How do you find dou E by dou WKJ? You do it in your book, in your piece of paper. You know E, right? You know E is here, E is here. You don't have to worry about the M. Keep M away. Right, E is here. Dou E by dou WKJ of this one, BK minus FKXK. What will be that? Bk, Fk, Fk, Xk. What is Xk? Xk is Wkj Sjh. Just Wkj Sjh. Right? So Bk minus Fk here, Fk, Xk. Xk is just substituted from here. Dou by dou Wkj of Bk minus Fk, Xk is substituted, Wkj Sjh. Will be minus Bk. So this is squared, right? 2 into, so you get minus Bk minus Fk. So this term will remain into, so Kj, Wkj. So in this summation, the non-zero would be the Kj element. So you get F, so basically Fk and the differential of this respect to Fko, Fk dash O with respect to dou Wkj is called Fk dash O. Basically the differential of the activation function into this SH, right? This term in that summation only that Kj will remain. So SH, right? Bk minus Fko into F dash Ko into SH. You can write this as, so this is, what is that? This is SJH. What is SJH? SJH is the input to this. Your SJH becomes the input to this layer, right? Input to this layer. SJH is the input to this layer into Bk minus Fk. What is Bk minus Fk? What is Bk? Desired output minus Fko. Fko is basically the corresponding, basically what you get as the at the output, right? It's the desired into Fk dash, the dot product. This is something that we have, say we are, if you remember at the perceptron I said, like, let's assume that Fx is equal to x. So but we are actually like taking the derivative of the activation function and input. So input into, and you denote this by delta Ko. This is called the gradient here, computed here into input. Dou E by dou Mk. This is how you adjust. So you get Wkj m plus 1 would be equal to Wkj plus Wkjm. What is Wkjm? Minus delta Ko. It's here into SH. Write down in your notebook. It's simple differentiation, nothing more. Simple differentiation. That E getting differentiated with respect to Kj. Good. Shall we proceed further? So dou E by dou Kj will help you to adjust the weights here. How do you adjust the weights here? What will be delta Wji will be dou E by dou Wji. Right? Shall we proceed further? I'll keep this slide for 1 or 2 minutes so that you can digest this. We'll be using this for the next differentiation. The result of this for the next differentiation. And these slides were actually made from by cutting material from that book only. So you get a direct what do you call connect with the book, with the piece of book that I shared. So it'll be easy for you to learn, understand. And there's nothing much to be understood other than like you computer or you find the gradient with respect to the set of weights in that layer. That's it. That's all you do. Right? I think I should move next to the next slide. Learning rate is eta. Eta is learning rate. It's already told you, right? It's learning rate you have already seen, right? From the last class itself we have seen learning rate. Dan, it's something that you have seen the last class itself, learning rate. It's basically like, what is learning rate? Learning rate is if you put it's between 0 and 1. If you put learning rate as 0, what will happen? See, W t plus 1. The next W would be current W plus delta W. In the delta W part, if learning rate is 0, what will happen? You will not absorb anything from input. If the learning rate is 1, you will absorb everything from the input when there is an error. If the learning rate is 0.5, 0.5 into what the delta W, I mean, basically like the gradient will get in. So learning rate is essentially how much you adjust. So in typical procedures, you start with a high, what you call large value for learning. Large value in the sense you start with what you call a high value for learning rate, which is closer to 1, and then you keep reducing the learning rate. And there are procedures with which you can adjust. So typically, like people go a nonlinear reduction over learning rate when you are closer to the solution. So that's a typical procedure. Yeah, half is basically like that 2. Otherwise, a 2 will come in, right? Kevin, it's for mathematical convenience. Half into that x square. X square differentiated will be 2x. So 2x will be there. 2x, if you put a half, it's basically a scaling parameter. Half into 2x, you get that 1 by 2 into 2 cancel and you get 1. So it becomes easier for representation, nothing more. Kevin, I think you understood, right? Just to make the algebra easy. Any other question? So is it the measure of the impact that the error has on its next value of the weight? That's what it is. Dan is basically how much of that gradient will impact. Meaning, see, that gradient computation will have the gradient. It's essentially that'll have that input part also, right? How much of that input will impact the weight change is what the learning rate is. So gradient is essentially computed to decide whether you need to adjust and how much to adjust, right? So how much of that input get absorbed into the weight is essentially what the learning rate decides. Then for 0.90, okay, Kevin, I'll explain 4.90. I'll go there. Yeah, 4.90 is basically adjustment. Forget about that. It's a step. WKJ, the new weight would be old weight plus delta, the adjustment in weight. This is what we have seen in perceptron, Kevin. WT plus 1 would be WT plus delta W. That's it. So they call, instead of T, they use the notion, the notation M, step. This is what we have seen in the perceptron, right? Here it was jumping from 0 to 0.25, and then it's basically like, yeah, you add up the weight. That's essentially the thing. So 4.90 is all about that. Any other questions? Make sure that you understand this, because it's so fundamental that, and if you can get this today onwards, you can start reading deep learning, the theory of deep learning. Only one more step is away. It's basically like you need chain rule. So dou E by dou, those who have done with this, compute dou E by dou W J I. Those who are done with this current thing, dou E by W, dou E by dou W Kj, can move on and compute dou E by dou W Ji. The previous set of weights. How do you adjust the previous? Delta Wji will be equal to minus zeta into dou E. E is the same thing. Dou E by dou Wji. Compute that. That's only part remaining. And you will need chain rule of differentiation there. Essentially, you go back from one variable to the other. Basically, that's essentially the point. Yes, I'll move on and I'll show you the other slide. Next one. So delta wji. It's essentially the weights connecting to the hidden layer will be minus zeta into dou E. Forget about them. Let's not worry about them at all. Dou E by dou wji. Dou E by dou wji is equal to minus K. Same E. Nothing changes here. Same E. Bk minus Fk. O. Right? You see that? Into dou Fk. Right? See? Dou Fk by dou wji into what is inside that x part, right? wkj sjh. See this here, wkj sjh, xk is replaced, right? How do you get this? Dou sj. So you know that dou fko dou wji of wkj doesn't have any. So basically, like wkj are constants. So wkj will come out, and 4.93 wkj will come out. So essentially, you end up in dou sj divided by dou sj by dou wji computations, right? Dou sj I mean from 4.93 you can see that you'll immediately jump to dou sj by dou wji computations. What is dou sj by dou wj? It's essentially like you get, so you can, what do you get? You need to get to the hidden layer activation. So you get to the hidden layer activations, right? Fj dash h into dou xt, right? Fd dash h into dou xt is essentially like, if you get to the, you take the dot, primarily the derivative of the hidden layer into then what you have, what is remaining, the activation, right? Dou wji into xjh. You know that, right? What is xjh? Let me take you to the textbook. That will explain you a little further. The textbook material, I have it here. Open it here. All right, this is what we have done. We are here. Dou E. Look at here. Dou E by dou wji. Can you see my screen? I want to make sure that, can you see my screen? Okay, that's good. Just go through the textbook. I'll explain the textbook so that it becomes easy for you to understand the steps when you read it. And let me see whether I can show you a little further. So dou E by dou wji is equal to minus bk, same thing, bk minus fk, same thing, same step. First step, bk minus fk into dou f by dou wij, xk is replaced there. So you get fk minus, so why do you get to reduce to that sjh? So there is a little typo, it's a dou actually. Dou sj by dou wj is dou. This is a typo actually in the textbook. So dou sj by, so dou sj by dou, this is where we stop. Dou sj by dou wji is equal to f dash h into dou xjh by dou wji. All right, it's essentially like, because you know that sj, what is sj? Sj is the output of the hidden layer. How do you get the output of the hidden layer? You put xj is the activation. So f of xj will be sj. Sj is equal to fh is the activation function of the hidden layer, fh of xj, right? What is xj? Xj is primarily like you xj, you look at this, the earlier your picture, xj is essentially like you take what you call si, put it through wij or wji, right? So xj is wji into ai. You can write xj is equal to wji in dot si. What is si? It's nothing but ai. So xj is equal to, you in your book you write xj is equal to, what you need to compute is dou sj by dou ji, dou sj by dou wji, where Sj is equal to f superscript h of xj, where xj is equal to, previous we have already written it, xj is equal to wji dot ai. Ai is our input, right? So dou sj by dou wji is equal to fj dash h, because the activation function, the dot product of the activation function is into dou xj by wji. Dou xj by dou wji, you can see that is si is nothing but ai, so you can see that dou em by dou wji will become, from the first step, minus k into bk minus fko into fk dash o, that will remain because dot product of the activation of the output with respect to, into wkg, which came out from 4.93, because wkg has nothing to do, it's a constant with respect to wji, wkji. Then the activation, when you have differentiated dou sj by dou wji, you must have seen that activation of the hidden layer comes out. I mean, basically the derivative of it, fjh into si. What is si? Si is nothing but the, so essentially what you get is, and you have seen that we have defined the delta I in the previous step, delta j of h, to simplify the thing. Delta j of h is essentially, what is it? bk minus fk into fko into w. So basically what you do is, you it's basically like, just for notational convenience, you have written, right? So there is a summation over here, there's a summation over here, and this, you know, like what is this, right? You have given it a particular notation, you call it delta ko in the previous step. You may have seen it in the delta dou e by dou kj. Delta ko was defined as this. So delta ko, this summation into wkj, right, into f dash o, you represent that as delta jh. So delta jh, so you get essentially dou e by dou m can be written as delta jh into si. You see this, the previous one was delta ko into si, some gradient computed into input up to that layer. Currently also the gradient at that layer into input, right? If you add one more hidden layer, what will happen? Gradient at that layer into its input. So the update formula would be gradient, that delta thing will be like, and what is the form of that delta thing? Delta thing is, see, teacher minus whatever, right? The teacher minus produced into the only part which was missing in the previous perceptron was that we were not considering the what do you call, the derivative of the activation function into, right? This was a, see, remember this, I don't want you to lose this part. Delta ko, what is bk minus fk into fko, f dash ko, this is delta. In our case, this previous perceptron case, this was, we consider this to be 1, teacher minus obtained into derivative of the activation function into input, teacher minus obtained into derivative of activation function into input. You see this? In this case, teacher minus obtained into derivative of activation function into input, right? Very similar to delta rule of perceptron. This form, look at this particular case, dou e by dou m, same thing, right? bk minus fk into f is basically a teacher minus what do you call, the obtained into derivative of activation function, and then one term here. What is this term? The weights connecting, what is kg? The weights connecting the hidden layer to the output layer. So you carefully look at this. Basically, that particular gradient pushed back through the weights connecting the hidden layer to the activation that becomes your new delta JH, right? The gradient is propagated backward through this KJ layer, right? Gradient is propagated backward through this gradient, through the KJ layer, and then that is used to compute the gradient over the previous layer. And then once you compute the gradient over the previous layer, it is multiplied by its input. So what is your update formula? Eta, learning rate into teacher minus provided into the derivative of the activation function at that layer. And if you are at the output layer, into input will become your adjustment. If you are not at the output layer, what will happen? The previous gradient has to be pushed back through the weights which connects you to the previous output, and then you multiply it with the input, you get the output. So from this derivation, from this particular equation, look at this delta JH. This is nothing but this part of the equation is known to us. It is multiplied by a weight connecting the output to me, right? The output to me is the hidden layer. Me is connected to the output through WKG. Me is a hidden layer. Me is connected to the output through the hidden layer. So teacher minus desired into activation, derivative of the activation function into the outputs, into the weights connecting me to the output layer, that becomes my gradient into input. That'll be my adjustment, delta W, and you keep doing this. So let me go back, show you the original diagram. What's happening here? Dou E by dou Kj is straightforward because it's directly connecting, these weights are directly connected to the output, but these weights are not directly connected to the output. These weights are connected, right? The output obtained on the neurons, right, for which these weights are affected, is connected to the output through this set of weights. So what do you do? Dou E by dou WKJ, you get the gradient over here, and the gradient, that is delta O, right? Delta O, when you push delta O through WKJ, you get the gradient over here. It multiplied by its input will become your gradient compute. Essentially, what you do is you compute the error, you compute the gradient over here for this layer, for this network, for this layer of the network. Then these gradients are pushed backwards here to adjust the weights over here. And if there are previous layers, what will happen? The gradient over here will get pushed back through these weights to become gradient computations over here, and you can keep doing this as many times as you want. And this particular procedure is called backpropagation algorithm. And I stop here. I hope you're able to understand this. You have to understand that math. Go carefully do it. All you do is dou E by dou Wij, sorry, dou E by dou Wkj and dou E by dou Wji. When you compute dou E by Wji, you can see that the gradient computed at dou E by Wkj computation is actually pushed back through Wkj to become the gradient at dou E by dou Wj computation. So every layer the gradient is propagated backwards. Gradient of the error is computed and propagated backwards by appropriately weighing through the corresponding weights to get the gradient at the previous layer, and this procedure can be continued as many times as you want. Hence, this particular algorithm, which works or which achieves training or learning or adjustment of weights by propagation of the gradient in the backward direction along the weight matrix, is called backpropagation algorithm. So the actually the algorithm is back propagation of the error gradient. That's what it is, and hence the name back propagation algorithm. And this is the most celebrated algorithm in neural network theory. And the version of this particular algorithm is modified to train deep neuronal structures, and the entire deep network was built over backpropagation. Modified versions of, or ways to implement, ways to make backpropagation practical gave rise to the different DL algorithms, deep learning algorithms. All right, and I stop here, and I urge you to go back, look at this algorithm carefully, and I want you to start attempting the implementation of a perceptron algorithm. That's the second part of the assignment. First part is like whatever the physical work that you've done on the paper, take a scanned copy, primarily like put it in your mobile scan or whatever, and upload that, because I want you to see, I want to see whether you have actually done it on paper or not. Right? Upload that whatever work, the paperwork that I've asked you to do to the class. That's one, the first part of the assignment. And the second part of the assignment would be start implementing perceptron, which is not difficult to do it in Python. And those who have done perceptron can start attempting backpropagation. GitHub repositories of backpropagation algorithm do exist. If you are unable to find, I have implementations. Some GitHub I have downloaded. I can even share you that. But I want you to have a feel of it, implementing, and don't use any library. So there are backpropagation algorithm available in most of the Python libraries. You can say like backpropagation, give parameters and get it. No, that's not the agenda. Agenda is implement backpropagation, which is non-trivial, which will take time. I don't want you to implement backpropagation next week. No, I mean it's not that easy. You need to work on like kind of a little more. There is effort involved there. So, but I want you to start implementing perceptron. And backpropagation you can either implement or you can start learning the theory there. Right? And I stop here, and we'll catch up next week, and I'll be sharing you the recordings of this session. And yeah, that's pretty much for today. And make sure that you spend spend at least 3 hours for every hour we spend over here. All right, and keep coming back with any questions, concerns you have here, and we'll catch up next week. And I'll upload you. I've already uploaded the material, and I'll be uploading the assignment links for you. Right.